Well, today, legal challenges all over the nation to President Trump's unprecedented surge of National Guardsmen into U.S. cities. Trump says the troops are needed to crack down on crime, but opponents argue these deployments are illegal. So let's talk about that. CBS News correspondent Shanelle Kaul following these cases from our newsroom in New York. Shanelle, good to have you with us on a Monday. What's the latest today?
Hey, Reed, good to see you, too. So we're tracking these two stories today playing out in both Washington, D.C. and Memphis, Tennessee. That is 2 of 5 cities where the Trump administration has deployed those National Guard troops, and we're seeing these legal cases play out. At issue here, Reed, is essentially whether or not the administration could do this legally, could move those troops into those cities. Let's start with what's happening in Memphis. This case there is playing out in Nashville, Tennessee, and there are some state Democratic and county officials that have launched this lawsuit there. They're basically alleging that Republican Governor Bill Lee could not deploy the Tennessee National Guard for civil unrest unless there was some kind of rebellion or invasion. They say that even if that were the case, it would require action by state lawmakers, which is not what happened here. Since arriving on October 10th, we've seen scenes like this play out. National Guard troops patrolling these kinds of neighborhoods, commercial areas in Memphis, including, of course, the iconic pyramid in downtown. Some similar scenes read in Washington, D.C. We know about 300 National Guard troops were sent there specifically from West Virginia back in August. And that's really the center of this case. A West Virginia judge is now looking at whether or not that move was legal. The lawsuit in this case was brought by the West Virginia ACLU. And Reed, this group is alleging that under state law, the governor there could only deploy the National Guard out of state for certain reasons. So things like a natural disaster, and if another state had put in some kind of emergency request. Now, just for background, the Trump administration so far has sent National Guard troops to 5 cities across the country. It said, as you mentioned off the top there, this is a means to crack down on crime. So here's President Trump responding to a question from CBS's Norah O'Donnell about comments he made to American troops in Japan recently, where he said, if we need more than the National Guard, we will send more than the National Guard. Listen.
Well, if you had to send in the Army or if you had to send in the Marines, I'd do that in a heartbeat. You know, you have a thing called the Insurrection Act. You know that, right? Do you know that I could use that immediately and no judge can even challenge you on that? But I haven't chosen to do it because I haven't felt we need it.
So you're going to send the military into American cities?
Well, if I wanted to, I could. If I wanted to use the Insurrection Act. The Insurrection Act has been used routinely by presidents, and if I needed it, that would mean I could bring in the Army, the Marines, I could bring in whoever I want.
And I'll also note, Reed, that the Insurrection Act has not been used in 33 years. There are, of course, so many different legal cases playing out when it comes to this issue of deploying the National Guard, sort of because this happened so quickly, right? These National Guard troops were deployed in just the last couple of months. It seems like some of the legal action is just catching up to that. We know that both in Portland, Oregon, and in Chicago, Illinois, there are cases there as well. There are cases there where injunctions have been issued, and I'll note that in Chicago, Illinois, just last week, the court has asked both the Trump administration and the lawmakers there that are challenging this case to submit more information, to submit some court filings so the judge can decide. This went all the way up to the Supreme Court in Chicago, Illinois. And then while that happens, until that happens, they are going to respect the lower court's ruling to block it.
Shanelle Kaul, thank you for that live from our New York City operation.